city's done, but they don't know where we're really from.
They're saying New York is a ghost town.
TV said what?
They say we've lost our spark.
Huh? Try to say we ain't strong enough.
Get out of here.
That New York's not New York anymore.
Blah, blah, blah.
Block party. Quickly throws it up for Toby.
It was popping.
New York is life. There are other cities, but they're not New York.
We bounced back and we built up.
Yo, come here. Let me tell you something. You can't stop us. We always survive.
We out here. We stay lit.
Facts. New York forever.
New York forever. You got something to say?
Tell it to New York.
Good evening, Knicks fans, and welcome to another edition of Knicks Dreams, where we discuss current events regarding your favorite teams and ours, the New York Knicks. We are joined today by none other than Dream, Bill Stradamus, Santana, and yours truly, 2.0. Tonight we'll be discussing the last game that we had, and we were talking about what our expectations are for this evening's matchup against I was going to call them the San Francisco Warriors. We'd be dating myself if I do, but there will always be the San Francisco team. So what are they today? The
Golden State.
Golden State Warriors. Yeah. So we're going to be going around the room, and we're going to kick it off with a conversation about what happened and what didn't happen in that last game. And so, kick it off, Santana.
Good evening, Knicks Nation. Welcome back to another episode of Knicks Dreams. And, we're looking forward to chopping it up with you, the chat, and, of course, the panelists. I've also included in the comments or in the chat room the actual stream that you can click into and potentially join the panel and chime in on the discussion. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to kick it off with 2.0 because I know he's going to be leaving us soon. So we'll kick it off with him, and then we'll go around the horn to the rest of the panel to give us a take on their assessment of the previous game and, of course, against the Timberwolves. And then eventually we'll talk about tonight's game against the Warriors. So with that being said, 2.0, kick it off.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Santana. I appreciate it. I do have to get on the road and make a quick stop before I can get logged on. So quickly, at the end of last game, I kind of made a phone call, or I got a phone call from Santana, and the bottom line was that it was a W. It wasn't ready at all. I was complaining about it all, but he reminded me that it was a W. And we had no business struggling with that team at the end. And where I see the issue is in that second unit. I think that the excitement of Quickly and Rose has faded a little somewhat, and I'm hoping and looking forward to them bringing that back starting tonight. So as I get on the road, I'm just going to kick it around to you guys. Hopefully I will not lose the connection and I'll be able to log back on, but as soon as I get back home, I will jump right back on. Either way, give it back to you, Santana.
Okay, I'll kick it off to Dream. Dream, go ahead, brother. Take it away.
All right. Well, like you said, a W is a W. We'll take it any day. We're just another notch on the belt. on their way to the playoffs, like we always talk about. So a solid first quarter. We'll get to the letdown a little bit later on in the analysis. But as far as the first three quarters, I thought we played pretty well. I mean, the first quarter was pretty solid. We built up a 12-point lead, getting out of the first quarter, just getting into the game, getting our feet wet, letting that team come in, and we went back and forth with them a little bit. Traded buckets pretty much in the second quarter to the tone of an 11-point halftime lead, which was okay. I think we all felt okay about it. Not great, but they were playing solid enough, and this is what we're supposed to do to these teams: play solid and then put them away towards the end. Going on to the second half, we end up building up a 21-point lead through the third quarter. Everybody's happy-go-lucky, and then all of a sudden our luck started running out. And they started making a crazy comeback. Karl Anthony Towns decided he was going to show out. We said, hey, man, watch out for this guy. And then by the end of the third and the fourth quarter came around, he started dropping threes left and right, inside buckets, really showing out what kind of player he is. And I would be proud if the Knicks could somehow swing getting him back around here and bring him back northeast. That would be nice for him, I think. As far as the rest of the game overall, basically they shot twice as many threes as we did, and they ended up making about 10 more threes than we did, and that's why they actually made a game out of it. Outside of that, this is going to be a blowout real easy. And I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter to the scoring, but that was kind of horrendous. I think we ended up like under 20 or something like that, I believe. But outside of that, we won this game in the last minute. We always talk about let this game come down, let it be close in the last couple minutes. This is what one of those games was, and we grabbed control at the end and basically put a W in the column. And with that being said, I'll throw the ball behind my back to Bill Shadamas. Go ahead, big man.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to do the Dominique Wilkins between the legs double pump dunk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, during the game, y'all know we were on the chat, getting our blood pressure risen. I almost had to go to the hospital until we pulled it out. And I've come to the realization that I have gotten a wake-up call with regard to the expectations for this team. I do expect to still make the playoffs. However, we're going to see a lot of this type of stuff going on between now and the end of the season, which we're going to have to work. There's certain things we're going to have to work out. I happened to be watching this game. I was at my people's house, so I was watching it with my father and brother. And prior to the game, they were both talking about I don't like Cat's game. I never liked his game. After the game, I walked in on both of them. I was like, "How do y'all feel about Cat now?" And they were like, "Well, when you left the room, we were back here discussing having him on the team now." so he changed their mind
real
from
fast.
The beginning of that game to the end of that game. They both changed their mind about him. And I was saying all along that I would take him over the guys that we have. I mean, naturally. And, they was, no, but Mitch's game, Mitch's defensive and this and that. All of that is well and good. But that man is better than the fives that we have. He just is. Across the board, he's just better than them.
He's all world compared to anybody we have.
Yeah. And if he came over here, it's not like he's going to be playing defense against Kareem and Olajuwon. He'll fit right in with this team defense, and we'll still be a top defensive team. I believe that with all sincerity. As stated by Dream, we started off pretty good. 12-point lead after the first, 11-point lead after the half. Then in the beginning of that third quarter, we was doing it. But then that lapse snuck in, that normally sneaks in at the beginning of the third quarter, it snuck in like maybe in the mid point of the third quarter. They came back. We had a horrible fourth quarter. I think we scored only 16 points in the fourth quarter, but we still pulled it out. So as 2.0 always says, a win is a win. We'll take it. And, I'm not, getting I'm not going to give myself that anxiety going forward, or I'm going to try not to. So right now, with that being said, I see my man coming down over my left shoulder, and I'm going to throw him the over the neck pass to King Poppy. Take it away, bro.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna dunk it, but I'm gonna dunk it with no info because I'll be honest, I slept through it. But I'm still gonna take this and I'm gonna dunk it with you. You're good. But what I did read, just like y'all said, you know what I mean? We gave it up in the fourth for whatever reason, but we fought in the last few minutes because we wanted to win.
Right.
They wanted to win. Without that desire, they would have got walked over worse than what they did in the fourth quarter. You know, when you play according to what I read, the way you did the first 3 quarters and only scored 16 in the fourth, you're either tired or you're frustrated. So I didn't watch it, so I really can't put my finger on it. I'm just glad they came away with the win. I'm excited to see what's going on tonight, but I'm not going to jump the gun because I know that's a part of the other conversation. But I'm going to get hit off the backboard to Santana. And go from there.
So we all got excited. The first 3 quarters, it was like, okay, we're dominating this game as we anticipated they would. But also what kept Minnesota in the game was their proficiency at the 3-point line, which is a concern because this is not just this game. This is now a pattern where teams are shooting 45% from the 3-point stripe. And that's not good. That's not a good thing. So that's something that needs to be tightened up. Otherwise, when we start playing better teams, we're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Because if teams that are not expected to shoot at a high percentage, as Timberwolves did, as the Magic did, as Chicago has done, imagine when we have to face, the upper echelon team who do shoot the threes. Case in point, Golden State with Steph Curry. Okay? Steph Curry today, he's the only one on that team right now that's consistent, but he could carry a team now. He could drop it on them. So they need to tighten up that defense. In that fourth quarter, I think because they had such a lead, they got comfortable. They took their foot off the gas pedal, and as a result of that, Minnesota came back. And then, of course, the Cat Man was doing his thing. He was showing out. He came out to play. He wanted to win that game, and literally, he could have won it by himself.
Yep.
He could have literally won it by himself. Of course, that would have been with some help from the Knicks because they didn't do anything in that fourth quarter to really, control the game and close the deal out. But bottom line is they were able to gut check it out. And with that being said, like I told 2.0, it's a W. It's a W. It's going to happen. They're going to be the cardiac kids from game to game. We can't get to the point that we expect them to dominate from wire to wire. It's just not going to happen. They're not there yet. If they have that kind of game, it'll be an isolated game, but it won't be consistent because we're going to have those ebbs and flow, and that second unit, for whatever reason, is just not hitting their shots right now. And that's something that they need to tighten up as well. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the rock to Dream and get your take on things, man.
I mean, gut it out was probably a good way of putting it, man, because that 21-point lead was evaporating faster than a snowball in hell, boy. I'll tell you. Turnovers, man, 13 turnovers. And I always bring this up, the amount of shots we take in the game. We only actually shot 78 times in that game. So they managed to take us out of our own game when it comes down to these numbers, when you start breaking it down. I always say we like to be in the 80s, the mid-80s, right? So we left a couple of possessions on the table, but that came with those turnovers, those 13 turnovers. So Against a team like Minnesota, they're not really supposed to be losing the ball that much, like 6-7 turnovers maybe in a game, like prior game. I think they only had one at halftime or something silly like that. But it's like, that kind of consistency against the weaker teams is what we need to clean up, The threes, I mean, this is something we're going to have to consistently work on. They're going to have to drive this home every time after a game. Listen, guys, run guys off the three-point line, Like you said, Golden State's coming in town. They're not a team that's shy for shooting threes. Look, we got lucky last time. Last time they shot 9 for 38 or something like that. It was something ridiculous off shooting night for them, colder than a polar bear's toenail, that kind of shooting night. So, we got to, take it with stride. We did get the W, but there definitely were some concerning things. That being said, I'm going to send it between my legs, but then cross it back real quick and then toss it over my head. Bill Shadamas, take it away.
All right. I see 2.0. Is he? Can you hear us, 2.0?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. So actually, I'm going to take that and give a sit pass over to you, so you can, you can drop some more on us.
Nice.
Okay. Appreciate that assist. I'll give you an assist on that one. Okay. So what's happening is, as I said earlier in the conversation, is that first of all, the Rose effect is wearing off. He's not making the shots that he was making in the beginning. He's at the rim and missing bunnies, layups. It's ridiculous. And then Quigley has gotten cold in the last 3 or 4 games. He has gone totally cold. Where I need him to come in that fourth quarter and drop a couple of threes and get that momentum going for us, he's not providing that anymore, or hasn't been providing that in the last 3 or 4 games. And that is where the difference in the last few games has been in terms of their inability to score. These guys went on a 17-4 run at one point in the fourth quarter. 4 points. And they were just going up and down, giving it away, throwing it away, and handing it over to the Timberwolves coach or something. Whatever. They did whatever they could to lose that game in that first 4 minutes. All they had to do was match energy and score, just equal to their points. And they didn't for some reason. And it's about Rose and Quigley. I see that he's playing Rose a lot more with the first unit. So I don't think that he should go right away into that mode, because Elf is still doing his thing. And if he goes that way, we're going to see a lot of these type of games.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
If he goes that way.
No. The statement before that.
If he goes full time with Rose and gives Elf minutes with the first unit, that's not what it should be. And I think that is in his heart. That's what he wants. That's the squad. That's what he brought Rose for, to be his starting point guard. And that's going to be the mistake that he's going to make this year. He should let Rose deal with that second unit and help those 2 guys out, because Elf can't help him. Only Rose can get Quigley free shots, and only Rose can get him free shots, and only Rose can get
Obi-Wan some nice looks. Okay? And that's where I think we are going to see, if it does happen according to my prediction, which I hope I'm wrong, and he brings in Rose to take in most of the first unit minutes, that's it. Forget about your playoffs. For playoffs? Did you say playoffs? Go ahead.
He might just be trying. He might just be trying that out, just in case they trade Elfrid Payton. Keep that in mind. Not that he wants that, but he has to explore.
They have no business trading that young man anywhere. He is useful. He's better than just a game manager. When he goes to the basket 5 times, we win. That's the record. All he has to do is score 12 or 15 points and we win. Go, take it away, Dream.
Oh no, I'll send it back down, King Poppy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, Dream. So, I agree. I think Rose needs to get ahead and nurture the second string guy, the young guy.
Right.
You know, they just nurture them. You know, it's first, 1 and 2 ain't nothing but a number. So by this time in Rose's career, that first string shouldn't be an issue. Period. You know, knowing him and his injuries, he should want to be in the two string position, so that way he can be efficient through the season and not through a quarter of the season.
Right.
Because if he runs with the first for too long, he's running with all the young bucks in the league. And when you run with all the young bucks in the league, you're gonna empty your tank out because you still feel in your head you can run with them, and that's why he always gets hurt. So they better put him back on the second string. Period.
Oh yeah.
It's just nothing's been positive with him playing on first team minutes. You know, what I read, we had 5 people with 1 field goal. That's he was one of them. You know, 1 out of 8 tries ain't what it is. So he was obviously trying too hard for whatever reason. Again, I didn't see it. I'm going. The stats don't lie. You know,
right.
It is what it is. You know, you cannot see the effort in the game based on the numbers. So I hope to see them rebound off of that loss. Yeah.
No, they won.
I mean, excuse me, off the W, but off Rose's poor performance. Let me rephrase that. I hope he gets that. Whatever was in his head at the time, because it was like 2 games in a row he hadn't played well.
Right.
So hopefully, go with the Warriors coming, changes the perspective on what's been going on the past couple of days. So, we'll see. We'll see. And with that, I'll go ahead and go behind the back to Bill Stramus and see what we got.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I agree with both of your takes, King Poppy and Dream, but a couple of observations. For that game, both teams made 33 field goals, and our Dream pointed out we was cut down to 78 shots. They had 4 more shots than us. Now, also our 3-pointers, we shot 6 for 18. They had 10 more 3-pointers than us, and they shot it at a higher clip. However, when it comes to the free throws, we shot 38 free throws to their 21. So we can attribute that to us continually taking the ball to the hole and drawing fouls. And if that's how we got to win, then that's how we have to win. Because good thing they didn't resort to try to trade threes with Minnesota. And I think that like I've said this before, the Quick and Rose tandem, they're being scouted now. So teams are putting in certain, things to slow them down, and it's worked so far. Although Rose was just missing shots that he normally would make, which is why I will also agree with King Poppy and 2.0 that we need to keep Rose coming off the bench. I think we'll get more out of him playing maybe 20 minutes a game. And on those days when he's on, we'll see him and Quick, come through like they've come through in the past, with the understanding that they're going to be games like the past 2 games where they're not on. And which is where I wanted to bring this back to you guys. I don't know if you guys remember during the game, I was even saying, Tibbs, he made that win harder because now he's seemingly doing like a Hubie Brown, how Hubie Brown used to coach the Knicks first and second unit, and he just has a time slot in his head. Okay, at this point of whatever quarter, I'm going to put them in, And regardless of what they're doing, whether they're doing well or not, they're going to stay in there until this point of the following quarter, and that's worked against us. He leaves when the quick and rolls tandem is not working. Sit them dudes down, give them the hook, and put the starters back in, namely Peyton and Julius. Put those guys back in if these guys aren't doing nothing after. If they're out there, they were out there, and Quick and Rose, what did they both? I think, let me see. Rose ended the game with 4 points, Quickly with 5 points. Combined, they had 2 assists and 2 rebounds. It wasn't their night. You should have given Peyton more. Although you gave Peyton 32 minutes, Peyton had 11 points, a rebound, and 7 assists.
Rivers.
And we're gonna write you up, man. If you mention that dude's name,
I'm gonna mute him, bro. I'm gonna mute him for that comment. I'm gonna mute his ass for that comment.
We don't need no Rivers to settle that.
You're muted, Dream. We didn't hear you, Dream. Dream, you're muted. Dream, you're muted.
It wasn't Dream.
I said 10 laps and 4 suicides.
Yeah. and not in your car either.
And not in the car. Yeah. You got to get out and physically run them.
Maybe Rivers is ready from sitting down so long. How about that one?
Oh yeah, we need. I take Reddick all day long.
Yeah, I'll take Reddick. But Rivers, he needs to fall back on that. He just has to be a little more flexible with regard to his substitution patterns, I think, with Tibbs. And I don't know if the other coaches are saying anything to him, but I don't know. It's just that we've seen this happen in consecutive games. And, Tibbs needs to change it up a little bit. Like Dream stated, we and we all felt that we were supposed to just run all over these guys. And we were doing that. But when they started to mount their comeback, we took too long to put the guys in there who need to be in there. And we've seen Tibbs do that a few times this season. But like I stated earlier, we're expecting to make the playoffs, so he's working. I guess he's working it out his way, and we're just gonna have to live and die with the decisions that Tibbs makes. Rebounds, we out-rebounded them by 4. However, another area where we went down, just like in the previous game, was assists. We only had 17 assists. And that means we're not moving the ball around as much as we need to, maybe. I expect us, we should average over, not well over, but we should average at least 20, 22 assists a game, I feel. And that shows that we're moving the ball around and the open guy's taking a shot. And sometimes that open guy might find a better look somewhere else. So make the extra pass and give somebody else a chance to make the shot. What we're doing, we're coming out, we're beating up on these teams, and then when they start coming back, we start to play hero ball. We see it from Randall try to play hero ball to try to bring us back. When Rose and Quickly come in, they're not sharing the ball like they were initially. Like Rose took it upon himself several times, and he was missing. And then another observation, and I think I heard someone else mention this, our assists are probably also down because we're missing that lob action that going to Mitch, which happens a few times a game. Now we try it with Noel, but Noel is just, he catches some, but he misses more. So, with that being said, we need to keep going to the hole and kicking out to those open shooters so that, we have a better chance of makes instead of trying to do one-on-one and get the shot. Like I saw that Burks was doing that. Burks was doing a little too much one-on-one and then taking his shot instead of, pass it around and get it back. And then take your shot where you're more open, you're more set, and you're more comfortable. So those are things that I'm sure that Tibbs is going to work out for them. And with that being said, where am I going to? I'm throwing it up top. Bounce pass to Santana.
Yeah, the Peyton factor, I think people are starting to see the value in him right now.
Absolutely.
And if the Knicks were to trade him and not get a point guard in return, it would be a major mistake, because what that would do is that would force the Knicks to have to start Rose and play him a lot of minutes. And at this stage in his career, you don't want him to play those kind of minutes. Right now, the role that he has right now is ideal and perfect. If he can excel coming off the bench, running that second unit, and still having enough energy or juice in the tank to close out games where needed,
right,
that's the perfect role. But if they get rid of Peyton, that's going to change that whole dynamic, not only by thrusting him into the starting lineup, but then who's going to run the point in the second unit?
Right.
And that's part of the challenge. So, I think now folks are starting to realize, in general, because I've been participating in other podcasts, and there were some folks there that they were like talking about Peyton this and Peyton that, but now they realize his value. Don't expect what he can't do. Expect what he can do to do it well. And that means attacking the basket, finishing off at the rims, getting rebounds, and dropping a few assists in the process.
And playing that D on the opposing
exactly.
guard.
You play that defense, that solid D, you're gonna be all right.
Yep.
You're gonna be all right. You know what I mean? Because even with Rose and Quickly, their defense isn't up to Peyton's level.
No.
It isn't there. And Quickly is barbecue chicken on defense.
Yes, he is.
He is barbecue. He got to bulk up. He's too thin. He's too thin right now. He's a rookie, so it's going to take him time. Derek is more about age, mileage. But, he'll show little flashes of good solid D, but he can't sustain that for a long period of time. And Quickly, right now, he's becoming a one-dimensional player. And that's my concern with him. Yes, he can shoot when he's on.
But
lately,
he's been
off.
And don't even deserve to be in there.
And it's been ugly. And even when he floats, there was opportunity. He could bounce it off the rim, little bank shot. He's trying to float and he's missing.
Come on now. Badly on the floats too.
Yeah. He's got to learn. Once he learns that mid-range game, because he's floating on a mid-range,
right?
As opposed to as you're closer to, he's floating from 15 feet out,
right?
You know what I'm saying? No, you got to stop and pop and take a mid-range. You float when you're closer to the basket, and if you're at an angle, don't float. Use the backboard. Yep. Left hand, right hand, whatever, depending on the side of the basket that you're in. So, that's something that needs to be tightened up on that second unit, because, we're depending on them to come out there and give us that change of pace and give us that boost coming off the bench. I mean, they got to hit their shots, because otherwise they're just taking up time. They're not producing. And these two games,
and unfortunately, their play dictates how well Obi plays.
Yes, absolutely. Because Obi don't have the ball. He has to depend on them to get him.
Exactly. So
yeah. With that said, I'm gonna do a nice little bounce pass to Dream, so you could, let's see, how are we doing on time here? You want to transition now?
I'll transition. I got my Superman cape on.
Take it whichever way you want to go. We're just gonna flow with you, bro. Whichever direction you take it.
Flow my red cape on.
So we're following you.
We can transition a little bit. I just want to finish off that last little topic real quickly.
Go ahead.
Right now, I feel like Quickly kind of contracted what Barrett had like a couple of weeks ago. Remember we were saying
he caught the virus. He caught the virus.
He caught the vid, man. Caught the in between the vid, bro.
The vid.
Like going to the basket. Like he's a 90+% free throw shooter. Why you don't just pull up that jump shot right there? You get there so easily, right? And then he takes one more step, and it's like in the twilight zone. Like, oh, what do I do with this ball? If he just pulls up that jump shot, bang, bang, bang all day long. And then he might hit like 4 of those and then it'll open up his 3-point shooting. You know what I'm saying? But he has that in-between game right now that Barrett was having early in the season. Like that I'm going to go strong. And then you get there and it's like, you kind of like pull back the trigger instead of floating right in with it. You know, so that was it for as far as Quigley goes. But, going forward, we got this game coming up tonight. We've seen Golden State before. We know what they're all about. We went into their house. We got a game against them. How did that happen? Well, let's go back to the old game plan. We held them to 38% overall, and like I mentioned earlier, 9 for 38 from threes. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but we at least have a game plan on how to attack, right? The first quarter, we ended up putting on 40. That was like an explosive first quarter for us. I think the highest maybe this season that we scored, right? But then we went 23. The third quarter, where we usually fall down a little bit, we actually flipped it in our half, 26-19. That was pretty good on our way to an easy win, pretty much, Curry had a quiet 30. Let's try to keep him at a quiet 30 and not turn that into a loud 40 tonight. You know what I mean? So right now he's day to day. We don't know what's really going to happen. But that being said, I'll pull the brakes on that. And I'm going to do a hard bounce pass just so it floats up high enough where somebody like King Poppy can come grab this and send it down home. Go ahead, brother.
I'm going to grab it and do a reverse dunk with that. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Nice.
Slamming it. So I'm going to shift gears real quick and come right back to that one.
Go ahead.
Since we made a little, whenever Rivers comes up, I got to say something about
it. Don't kill him. Teams are calling. Don't kill him. Teams are calling on him.
Don't kill his trade value. Don't kill his trade value.
This is how I'm actually going to give him a step on his trade value. He can go to his dad because his dad knows how to pull whatever he needs to pull out of him because he don't want to get his ass whipped by his dad when he get home. and give us Steph Curry.
You give us Seth, right?
I take that all day. Seth can play with anybody. Rivers obviously can't. He played for his dad. He did good. His dad can pull out of him. So I had to get that out. My system. Back to tonight's game, just like Dream said. When it ain't broke, don't fix it. We know what the game plan is to win. So they know what the game plan was for their loss. So they're gonna try to tweak something. We don't need to tweak that. We just need to press harder. Stay the same way and press harder. Curry don't make his shots. Period. But if we keep Draymond out of getting into a rhythm, I think we have a chance. So I'm gonna go no look pass over to Bill Shadamis. See what we got.
All right, I agree. That worked for us. However, we also got to keep in mind that first game we had Mitch, so we have to make sure that Wiseman doesn't have his rookie game of the year at the Garden, which certain people are known to do. Because in that first game,
he's out.
Did well. He did well against Mitch.
He's out.
I'm looking at a report that says from NBC Sports Bay Area, Steph, Wiseman, Looney, all will play.
Oh, I'll take it back.
Yeah, well, that's what this says, but I don't know when this came out, so it just says they'll all play versus the Knicks. It actually came out just a few minutes ago, so we have to prepare for that guy. We can't just think that he's just another big man, and he's not going to do as much as Steph and Draymond, but he's been playing pretty good. And as a matter of fact, they're a game better than us in the stand. Their record is they're 16-15, we're 15-16. So with as bad as they were doing, they kind of turned it around. And I don't know. I know you guys watch the different sports shows, and they're trying to throw Curry as a MVP candidate and all of that. I'm like, slow your brakes. He's great and all of that, but you got players on other teams that are making their teams better than what he's doing. We understand that they're shorthanded. However, they're still good. They're still a team to be reckoned with. We got to keep up Oubre in check. We were able to do that the first game. We got to continue whatever we did that first game. We have to keep bodies on him and make sure he doesn't kill us or hurt us. But I'm confident that we're going to do what's necessary to get the W. I ain't predicting no blowouts. I'm not doing that anymore this season, by the way. Or I'm going to try not to do that because I personally keep getting these wake up calls when I'm expecting us to just walk over these teams, and then they're fighting down to the wire, and we winning some and then we're losing some. So I'm gonna hold my horses with the wild predictions going forward. But we're still going to the playoffs. Let that be understood. We're still going to the playoffs. And I don't know if 2.0 is listening, but when he jumped back on, he want to argue that point. We can argue, but
we could
we're still
day.
going to the playoffs. But we have to be careful and not think that we're just going to run over this team tonight, because I don't think we are. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think we're going to pull it out based on the experiences of the prior two games, one which we lost and one which we won. So, with that being said, where am I going? I'm going up top with a over the head hook pass to the rim for Santana.
So the X factor for this game is going to be Draymond Green. Because when we played him in the first game, I believe he got kicked out.
He got tossed. Yes, he did.
He got kicked out.
Yes, he did.
And he is a factor. And he's coming off a game that he already got kicked out. So he's going to be on his best behavior. He's not looking to get kicked out again. Okay, because he got attacked, because of some call that the referee made just recently and so forth and so. Plus, he's coming to the Garden, and he is a solid player. He's a guy you got to account for. He's not going to kill you with scoring, but he's going to do all the other little things. He's going to rebound. He's going to play defense. He's going to pass the ball. Those are things. Those are winning plays. And he's going to make those plays.
And he will hit that occasional three on you too.
Yeah. He'll drop that three every now and then on you. That's for sure. But he's going to be the X factor because he was also a contributing factor to why we won that first time that we played Golden State this year.
Right.
Okay. He wasn't in the game.
Right.
So that helped us. I expect him to be in the game today, play the entire game, and him be a factor in today's game. So, it won't be, I don't think, a big disparity in terms of point differential between the two teams. I don't see a blowout on our end, administering it to them. But if we're not careful, we could get blown out because Oubre can shoot. He can score. We know Curry, that's a no-brainer. We don't even have to, I don't even have to mention him.
Nope.
And, of course, like I said, in terms of Draymond, he's going to be solid. And then the rookie that you're talking about, that kid is big.
Yeah.
The center, that kid is big. He got body. We don't have body to defend him.
And he's a smart player, too.
Yeah, and he can handle the rock. He can handle the rock and he can post. And, Noel, he's light.
Right.
He's lightweight compared to this kid. Now, he has more experience. And, of course, Taj Gibson has more experience. And they got, man strength. But this kid is he's a big body.
Yeah.
He's a big body. So, I don't want, I wouldn't take the Knicks. I mean, if I'm the Knicks, I wouldn't take Warriors for granted because they're coming with a better team than we played them when we beat them.
Right.
Because that kid has more experience. Uber's not gonna shoot as bad, I think, as he did in the first game. And Steph is Steph. And Draymond's gonna be in the game. So it's gonna be a tight game. It's gonna be a solid game. So with that said, I'm just gonna, reverse pass, do it behind the back to my man Dream. Go ahead, Dream.
Thanks for the pass. I'm gonna drop a nice little layup on him. Not too crazy, just nice and pretty. So Yes, X Factor, Draymond Green. My X Factor also did not play in that game. We did not have Derrick Rose at that time. And I know the last couple of games, maybe he's been not really hitting it in stride the way we wanted to, the way he first affected us, when he first came in the first couple of games. But overall, our offense has been up since he's been added, and so has our defense. Our defense against points against us has gone down. So both categories we're up, right? I agree. Since then, also Golden State trending up because Steph Curry got hot for a couple of weeks. He hit 60 points, 50 points, 40 points every other day, doing his thing. So the fact that he's been a little bit slowed down day to day, maybe that works in our favor a little bit, and we'll try to work that out. Outside of that, the Knicks won 4 of the last 5 games, and 3 straight at home. Let's try to keep this home streak going. The Warriors, they lost the last 2 games, I believe, or something like that, by a total of 6 points, not by much. And the last one against Charlotte was basically Scary Terry ended up winning the game on a last point shot. So they've been in the battle, even in the games that they've lost recently. And so I think they're gonna have a little bit of an edge on their shoulder. And I'll be the first to go out on the limb. Last time we got them, it was 119-104. Like I said, I don't expect that it'll be like that. We'll both come back to earth a little bit, but I still think the Knicks pull this out, and I'm going with the Knicks 113-109. And I'm going to throw it between my legs to King Poppy. Go.
Appreciate that, Pass. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. D Rose is definitely going to be the other factor in this game. Like I said before, if we keep Draymond under wraps as best as possible, it's going to be fun. Curry's Curry. We'll have some excitement. He's going to miss. It is what it is. It's part of the game. We love the game for a reason for players like that. Regardless if he's on our team or not, it's good to watch. Now we have to do our part. So we can attack the basket, attack Draymond, play the positions that we're supposed to play. We should be all right. But I'm going with an overtime win, 119-117. I think this is going to be an overtime game. They both fighting. We win. We win. They lose. We both for 500. They don't want to be at 500. They went past that already. Just like you said, they lost a couple games already where they shouldn't been. They're falling backwards where we're growing. We're taking steps, baby steps, but we're taking steps. So yeah, I see the overtime game coming in, and we see where our cojones is at. We can we dig deep and do it at home when we need to win, or we're going to get embarrassed at home in an overtime game. Either way, I think it's that close that it has to go to overtime because it ain't going to calculate to them, and it ain't going to be by much. With that being said, I'll get ahead and pass it on to Bill Stramus.
And I'll take the finger roll.
Bam.
A la Iceman George Gervin, a la Julius, I forget his middle name, Winfred Irving. I believe that's his middle name. And I'm going to lay that up. And with all of that everyone said, I think I too think it's going to be a tight game, but I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring tight game. And King Poppy, it's funny that you said 119-117. You said in overtime. I picked it straight out. I pick us to win. I say 118-115. I think we'll win, 3 points. I was tempted to say 116, but I'll put it in the 3 because I can see them at the end trying to hit a 3 to tie it up. And hopefully our defense will prevail because we will have run whoever off that 3-point line, namely Steph, and he'll get the shot off and he's just going to miss at the buzzer. So I say 118-115. And with that being said, we throw it. Oh, he left. Where did he
1 second. 1 second.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't throw it. All right. Dream. Any trade rumors?
Well, basically what we have is just the people that have been out there recently. Drummond is being looked at more recently by Toronto and the Clippers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Cousins recently, like I said, he got let go. I'm not really looking at him for the Knicks. Obviously the Lakers are going to take a peek at him, but I think from what I'm hearing, they're more interested in PJ Tucker, trading for PJ Tucker than they are adding DeMarcus Cousins. And so on the chat, I threw out there because this is what I heard, that Portland is possibly looking at adding him in a 3-man rotation because they got those Nurkic out and they got Zach Collins out. So even if he plays wherever he plays, he's not going to be a full rotation play. He's going to be in a rotation of big men. Even if he was to come to the Knicks, he would be in a rotation of big men. But the problem is, as soon as Mitch comes back, we're not trying to have Marcus Cousins replacing Noel. So now where does he slide? So to bring him to the Knicks doesn't really make sense long term, or within the next couple of weeks. So I think somebody else will add him. I don't think Brooklyn, because it just came off that feelings what he had because Harden just left Houston, so he was talking shit about him. I think. Sorry for my French. But that's pretty much all that's out there. If he does go to Portland, then I'm thinking the Knicks maybe could kick the tires on Zach Collins. He might be an okay player down low for the Knicks. He's solid. He's nothing special, but he's solid. You know what I mean? And as far as the Knicks overall, teams are calling on the usual suspects. They're calling on Randall. They're calling on Peyton. They're calling on Rivers. That was a surprise to me, but I actually took a screenshot of it on my phone to send it to you because I couldn't believe when I read it. I was like, on Rivers? Oh my God, this guy is going to be astounded. So anyway, so they're calling on Rivers and they're calling on Burks too. A couple of teams are calling on Burks, adding shooting guard help. These are contenders. So, as far as the Knicks, I guess they're taking phone calls on everybody. I don't think they're serious on any Randall calls, but the rest of the guys, they're definitely entertaining on how to flip that into something that we could use. You guys mentioned earlier, I mentioned it like a week ago or something like that. The Philadelphia thing is very, very interesting, and I think they should really try to pursue something because the only issue that we all agree on is what do we do at point guard, because if we bring in Seth Curry and ship off Rivers with Peyton, because they want Peyton is really what they're looking for, then that leaves us with a 3-guard rotation kind of with Curry, Rose, and Quickly.
That's why we would have to go all in and go get Lonzo.
We would have to go in and do something on that.
We would have to do something like that,
Yeah. And so, and even with that, this in my head, there's 3-team trade that works out between Philadelphia, New York, and New Orleans, where some picks get sent to other places and stuff like that, and we end up getting a couple of guys. And everybody's happy, and we talk.
Play Zion.
No, we don't. Well, I mean, we got to be realistic. What we would end up with is
we would get Seth Curry.
We get Seth Curry from Philadelphia, and then we'd end up with Ball also as the starting point guard from New Orleans. And then we have to give out some of our first and second round picks and some of those other players that we were already going to give up, like Knox, Ntilikina, and Bullock. So that's basically what we're working with. And outside of that, since we got him back, I'll send it back up to Santana.
So I'm gonna revisit the past to shape the future. And when we last played Golden State, one of the things that I mentioned leading up to that game in terms of how we defend them, I said we need to be very careful. We have to defend Golden State split action and backdoor, okay? And the Knicks overall, they played it well, but they got beat twice early on. The split action backdoor pass. And that's something that they need to continue moving forward. At least they made the adjustment in that game, but they got to carry that forward in this game because they're going to have this team is going to be more familiar with that type of play than it was early on in the season. Because early on in the season, you got new guys learning a system. They're not familiar with it, and yet they executed it twice in the first game. So by now, those players should be very seasoned at executing that type of play. So we got to look for that. And also the figure eights. You know what I'm saying? The figure eights that Stephen Curry likes to run to get himself open to shoot a nice little jumper. That's something to watch. They didn't do that a lot in that first game, but those are the things that I'm looking for because I'm looking at what plays they're running and how effective is it, and then how do we counter it? And those are the things. To counter that figure eight, you got to do a lot of switching because to chase this guy around is going to be very difficult. So sometimes you see that in the playoffs in terms of teams making those kind of adjustments where they're switching, because normally the Knicks don't play a switching defense. They play man to man. They try to get over screen, get through the screen, and stay with their men. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this game. With that being said, I'm gonna predict Knicks 110, Golden State 105.
Not bad.
All right. And I'll send a text to 2.0 to get his score.
Okay.
I'll do that like before the game starts.
Okay.
Game starts in about 20 minutes.
7:30. Yeah, 7:30. So you got 10 seconds of hate? No, Bill Stradamus, that's his segment.
Yeah, not really. Only thing is, yeah, I do. I do.
Far away.
They cheated the Clippers the other night. What was that? With that call, I don't know if you guys saw the game. Tight game. The claw is got James Harden on him. Yeah. He drives. Harden is all on top of him. The claw, tried to give himself a little room. You would have thought Harden got shot like John F. Kennedy or something. He went flopping, and they gave him the call. They called the offensive foul on a bucket made by the claw, and Brooklyn went on to win that game.
Yeah,
it was totally bad and unfair, and I was sick after watching that. And they showed it so many times, and I even saw one of the sports shows, I think it was today, they were saying the referees made the correct call. No, they did not. And it was Chris Broussard saying that. He was like, the referee said that they made the right call. They did not make the right call. Harden clearly flopped, and Brooklyn went into LA, into both arenas in LA, and came out with W's.
Yeah.
So that's my 10 seconds of hate. I'm still hating on Brooklyn. And it is what it is. I'm not feeling them guys right about now. So that's my 10 seconds of hate.
King Poppy, you have any last words?
Well, ship Rivers out. I'm tired of
He would love one of our sister shows, or brother shows, I should say. This is your captain speaking. You ever see them do that?
Yeah.
Put your
destination unknown.
Mr. Rivers, put your tray in the upright position.
Yeah.
Put on your seatbelt. Destination unknown.
Yeah. Oxygen mask.
All right, fellas. So we're gonna close this up as we normally do at the end of every episode. So once a Knick, always a Knick. All right, fellas. We'll stay in contact during the game.
Definitely. All right.
Let me stop. Okay.